Welcome, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon. Thanks for joining us today. I see the chat is already active. Go ahead and drop in where you're calling in from. Looks like we have a birthday as well. Happy birthday to someone in the audience, James.
Happy
Um,
birthday.
this Happy birthday, James. This is the part 3 of our 3-part series for mastering Intune, and today's session is going to be about Intune data and reporting. Standard housekeeping before we hop in. Content, you should know by now, there's downloadable content for you. Some of that has been written by Fabian, who's on our call today doing our demos. We'll have interactions throughout the webinar. So of course the chat, and we'll have a couple polls throughout for you to participate in. To participate in the polls, you click directly on the screen. And then we also have a Q&A box. So if you have any questions throughout the demo, you can submit them in the Q&A box, or you can do it in the chat. It's just sometimes they get lost in the chat. So we suggest using that Q&A box, and we can address some of those at the end. And then Coffee on Us as a part of our coffee break series for us to all commune together. $10 digital gift card for the first 100 people that join the webinar today. So for our agenda, these are the 3 sessions that we've done in this series. I'll go ahead and say these will all be available for recording and for viewing, and they'll be posted on YouTube, but they'll also be sent to you through email. And you can find the first 2 in these series on YouTube already. We did efficient app deployment and updates. So Fabian walked us through a good, better, and best for managing third-party applications and for Intune specifically. And then next we did modernizing endpoint management. And then today's session is for Intune data and reporting. So before we hop into today's content, we're curious what types of data and reporting you would like to see more of in Intune. We know this is a big topic as it relates to Intune, is needing more insights. So what is the number one need for you and your team? You should be able to click the answer directly on the screen. Okay, I'm going to close out the poll for those that just joined. We're just starting with a poll to understand what reporting and insights you're most interested in getting in Intune. Okay, let's check results. Interesting. Patch management and deployment and greater software inventory and usage stats came in at the top, next to information on non-compliant devices and more robust hardware inventory. Okay, some of that we'll be going over today. So that checks out. Pass it over to Fabian to introduce himself.
Awesome. Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining this webinar. It's the last one on our agenda, so I want to say thank you for coming, and I appreciate everybody's time. Today, let's go over some Intune reporting. Cool. So let's go over the agenda today. So as we mentioned, we're going to navigate data and reporting inside of Intune. We're going to dig into the reporting blades inside of Intune, talk briefly about them, but I really do want to cover on 3 different topics is the Windows 11 readiness. As we know, Windows 10 is going to be end of support, I believe in October 25 of 25. So just kind of giving you some bits and pieces there so we can learn, see what's upgradable, see what's not, and then also go over the new enhanced hardware inventory setup for Microsoft Intune to learn a little bit more about hardware information about devices in Intune. And then we can also, and then lastly, we're going to leverage the right-click tools for Intune to learn about system information, a little bit more real-time information for devices. So let's dive in and take a look at what we got. So first, I'm going to share my screen with you. Cool. So should be able to see my screen here. We're inside of Microsoft Intune, and let's go over some of the reporting tools and capabilities inside of Microsoft Intune. So we'll click on Reports, and on the left-hand side over here, we have a few different options. I'm going to cover them briefly, just cover them. Here we have attestation, device attestation status. We can generate a report. This will give us information about the device hardware, such as TPM information and all the other good stuff. And I did see some people mention that they wanted to see a little bit more about the compliance reporting. We can go to reports here, and we have a few different reports for device compliance. We can see device compliance, non-compliant devices and settings, devices without a compliance policy, and some trends. If you do have an Intune tenant, feel free to dig in there and poke around, learn a little bit more about that. The next one is going to be device configuration. This is going to be used for your configuration profiles, the ones that you deploy to your devices. You can see, hey, is this device successful with this configuration profile? Are there any conflicts? So let's generate this really quick, see what we get. All right. Cool. And we can see I have a few different devices here. For the most part, the majority of them do have successful configuration profiles. We do see some device errors. That could be potentially that maybe there's something wrong with that configuration profile. And in my case, I know there is something wrong with this because I have tested this in the past. So we can see, hey, there's an error here, and you can go and troubleshoot that yourself. So let's go back to the reporting. We can see group policy analytics here. If you are migrating some GPOs from on-prem to Intune, you can see the analytics here in reporting. So you can see, hey, is this GPO ready for us to use inside of Intune? If not, it should let you know. And then I'm also going to show you Windows updates. This is the one that we're mainly going to focus on today. Here we can see things such as feature update reports. If you're upgrading from Windows 10 to 11, you can see if some of those are capable. If not, we have expedited update reports, update readiness reports. For example, if we're targeting Windows 11 23H3, we can see are our Windows 10 devices ready for that deployment, and we can see that in the report. And then I'll cover some of these really quick as well. If you do use Windows 365 PCs, you can leverage these to get some more reporting. And then for endpoint security, you can see some of the reporting for your Microsoft Defender antivirus and your firewalls. You can see here, what is the agent status and do we have any detected malware, so you can work with your security team. And then if we want to get a little bit more information on a device, we can click on Endpoint Analytics. Here we can see things about the startup performance. We can see the application reliability. We can see if there are any crash reports. What's the app reliability score? And we can see here on the work from anywhere, this is going to give us a little bit more information as well. I'll cover this one a little bit later in the Windows. Resource performance and battery health. And I believe these two, you might have to leverage the Intune Advanced Analytics tool. It is an add-on, so if you want to purchase that, work with your admin team or your global or billing administrators. And let's go over these as well. These are going to be a little bit more advanced, and you're going to have some other customizations as well. For instance, if we look at data warehouse, you can use this to build reports in your enterprise environment. You can leverage tools such as Power BI online, third-party reporting services. So I just really wanted to cover the ones that you know, were more so natively accessible and a part of your licensing. So let's go over now the Windows 11 readiness portions. So on that, I'm going to show us really quick, want to show us some information about pre-Windows 11, making sure that like, hey, do we have what we need from a reporting aspect? And then secondly, I'm going to show you a little bit more information. That's where I'm going to go to the work from anywhere report. And then the third part of this is I'm going to show us the Windows 10 and later feature updates. This is going to check for post upgrade and current status of your upgrades. So first, in order for us to get some of this data for the Windows readiness reports, we actually have to enable Windows telemetry. So we can do that by going to tenant administration, connectors and tokens, and then under Windows data here, we can see we have two different options. We have the Windows data. We want to make sure that this radio button is on. This is going to allow us to share Windows diagnostic data with Intune. And then also the second portion here is we have to confirm, hey, we do have one of these licenses in our tenant. So you want to make sure that you're either a global or Intune admin to confirm these licenses. And now we'll go ahead and move over to, let's see, give that a second. Cool. And then we'll head over to our configuration profile to enable basic telemetry as well. So we can go to configuration here. And I already have a configuration profile enabled. It's called enable basic telemetry. Here we can see, by enabling telemetry in Microsoft Intune, it helps improve device performance, security management by collecting and analyzing diagnostic data. This wasn't my description. I copied it from Microsoft. So essentially it's just saying, hey, we want to read some of the information in order to make some decisions inside of Microsoft Intune. So here, if we scroll down, if we scroll down, and we can see I targeted this to all devices. And then for configuration settings, I have it just to basic to allow telemetry. And you have a few different other options, but I just wanted to do basic to get some Windows OS versioning information from our devices. So now let's go over the Windows feature update readiness report once we have that telemetry data enabled. So if we go to reports and we scroll down to Windows updates, and we'll head over to reports. And this is going to show us, hey, what is our readiness status on some of these devices? And I just wanted to mention here too, I was reading that you want to target the target OS that you have enabled for feature updates in order to get a little bit more accurate information. So since I'm targeting Windows 11 for majority of my devices for Windows 11 version 23H2 for most of my devices, I'm going to target that. I'm going to get some more information there. So I'll generate that report. Let that run quick. Cool. We can see that's generated. And we can see some of the information about our Windows 11 readiness. So in my case, I have 3 devices that I want to show you: VM01, VM02, and Windows 10 VM03, sorry. So we can see here that the Windows VM01, I had this as required for the feature upgrade to Windows 11. and you can see here, it's already been upgraded. Let's go down. Cool. And then I actually was having trouble with my feature optional update. I have to do a little more reading to see if this readiness report picks up those optional updates. But for my third one, I had this device intentionally not enabled with secure boot, not enabled with TPM, and I had a little less storage than the requirements for Windows 11. I still am having a little trouble on that telemetry data to pick up information here, but we can still see that it's still on Windows 10 by seeing the 19045 versioning there. So let's head over to the Windows Analytics report where we can see a little bit more information of our devices. So if we go to Work from Home and click on Windows, and let's scope this to all devices, let's apply that here. We can see that our Windows 10 VM02 is my device that I have as an optional upgrade to Windows 11. As we can see here that the Windows 11 readiness portion here is capable. So that's good. We don't have any readiness errors. But again, since I was having trouble with my Windows 10 VM03, and it could be a timing issue. I was reading that you might need a couple of days for it to grab that information correctly. But I did want to show you, how would this look like if a device wasn't capable of an upgrade. Let me show you really quick. So here on one of the Microsoft reporting, if we head down to this device, or on this column, Windows 11 readiness reason, we can see that this device here is not capable of an upgrade due to system firmware or CPU family information. So we can see, hey, maybe this person using device 10, might need an upgrade to a device that is capable for Windows 11. So we can grab that data and make some decisions there. Cool. And let me head back to my video. So kind of showed you a little bit of the capable and non-capable options, and then that Windows 11 readiness report would tell us why it's not capable. And then let's go over some tips and tricks. I found this useful when I was upgrading some the Windows 10 devices to Windows 11. For one, I'm going to show you a filter, and this was helpful for me because I like to see some of the devices that I'm going to upgrade and maybe who it's going to affect. So here I'm going to create a Windows 10 devices filter inside of Microsoft Intune, and we can select the OS version contains some parameters to Windows 10. And here, if I click on preview, I can see that some of the devices here, or all these devices are Windows 10, and we can see information such as the OS versioning, ownership, the TPM attestation. So this was important for me to see, hey, maybe if I have some executives in here, I probably want to be a little bit more cautious, just to make sure that we are communicating this effectively, and also just to see how many devices do we even have on Windows 10. So if we go to groups now, I also did this portion to create a dynamic group to deploy Windows 11 as optional when I first was getting started. But when you deploy a feature update, it doesn't allow you to do all devices or all users. So what I ended up doing was creating a Windows 11 or Windows 10 dynamic group. So here we can see I have a group called Windows 10 devices / corporate, and we can see that is a dynamic membership. And in the dynamic membership rules, we can see information such as the device type, device version, and the management type. So it should target all my devices inside of Intune that are Windows 10. As we can see here, and I'll click on a device and I'll confirm, okay, here's this versioning 10.0.904. So now let's take a look at the Windows 10 and later feature updates. This is going to show us essentially, the post upgrade and current status of the Windows 11 upgrade from Windows 10. So if we go to reports, Windows updates, and we can see here that we have a kind of a view there. But I want to go into the pane itself. I'm going to target the feature update itself, and I have one as required. So we can see here that it's generating really quick. We'll let that do its thing. Cool. And then here we can see this device, Windows VM 01, already has Windows 11 installed. Once we deployed that feature update to it, we can see update successful. Awesome. And then let's go and target our optional update here. Here, this device has not upgraded yet, but we can see once we generate this report, what its readiness status or what its status is here. Cool. We can see that, this device VM02 is an offering state for Windows 11, offer ready. So essentially, it's like the user is able to see Windows 11 as an upgrade option, but it's not required. So leaving it up to the end user. If you want to, see how this looked on a rollout status, if people were interested without your intervention. See, we can see the target version was Windows 11 version 23H3 there. So now I want to show us the new enhanced hardware inventory for Microsoft Intune. Let's take a, and I believe somebody in the chat might put the information there. But essentially what this is going to do is hardware reporting information inside of Microsoft Intune. It's not an add-on, so we don't have to pay any more money for it. So let me show you what I'm talking about really quick. So if we go to Windows, click on a device. I'm going to click on this Windows 01. We have this Resource Explorer panel here. Let's click on that. And we can see information such as battery, BIOS info, CPU, etc. So let me click on the CPU. We can see that this core count is 3, CPU status enabled, all that good stuff, the model. So, how do I get this information? If you haven't enabled it yet, we'll have to go over to devices, and it's going to be a configuration profile. So we go to configuration profile. I have this already set up, and it's called device collection inventory. But if you're going to create a new policy, it's going to be under Windows 10 and later. And for you Intune admins, or for people who are going to Intune, previously we only had settings catalog and templates, but now we have properties catalog. So that's the profile type we want to select. So I will go over to my configuration profile here. And once you're creating that policy, you can select all of the information you want to collect. So for instance, you can select this one by one, battery information, BIOS information, CPU, etc. And one thing to note, this is going to refresh every 24 hours. So you're not getting that real-time data right away. If you're working with somebody to get maybe the current BIOS version, if somebody's having an issue, it might be a little time-consuming to wait that 24 hours. So, but that's an option there for you to use, and just wanted to share that information with you. And then lastly, I want to go over the right-click tool for Intune, and some of its portions we're reporting there. So if we go to devices, Windows, and let's go to a device here. Click on CS Intune 01, and I will right-click this device here, or this extension icon. Right-click tools, console tools, and system information, it would take me to this tab right here where I can see things such as the operating system, the hardware, the applications. And I just wanted to note that this is also in real time. This is real time data, so we're not having to wait that 24 hours compared to Intune. So this is going to be information. This is going to be pretty useful. You have a couple of different options as well, such as services. I was actually having an issue with an end user the other day with the Dell command update. There was something that wasn't starting correctly, so I was able to go in here and restart it. So, but we have other information such as drivers, user profiles. If you're working on a shared device and you want to kick somebody out, you can go ahead here, delete them, or click on here and log them off. Then we have a few other different tabs here: user sessions, local group members. I can see this being useful if you're enabling Windows Labs. You can see, hey, did that user that I created, is that group or is that user group there? And then lastly, we can see information about batteries. So not very useful for me since I'm using a virtual machine, but we can see some battery information there. Yeah, I know I went over that pretty quick, but if you did want to learn more about this tool, please contact anybody in the chat or head over to Recast software. So that concludes my demo. I know I went over a lot. And yeah, I just want to say thanks everybody. I know we've had 3 long sessions. So thanks for everybody who made it. If this is your first one, thanks for helping me out. And if you have any questions or anything, feel free to reach out to me as well.
Thank you, Fabian. So if you would like to see, the last thing that Fabian showed was an introduction to our right-click tools for Intune browser extension. And it's, originally created with co-managed environments in mind, right? So many of us are coming from Configuration Manager into Intune, and we'll be managing devices in both locations. There is some Intune specific capability within that, which will continue to grow over time. And if you'd like to see more of the right-click tools browser extension for Intune, let us know in the poll here, and we can reach out to you and we can set up a personalized demo for some of the use cases for your team. Let's see, there's a couple questions, Fabian, if you want to answer them while we keep the poll up in the Q&A box. Someone's asking about usage reports for Intune-only devices. I think you're on mute, Fabian.
Sorry. Hey, Carlos. Thanks for that question. So you asked, does Recast have a way to get a usage report for Intune-only devices on software like Adobe? We can see the information such as installed information, and maybe I'll have to check with the team members as well. But what kind of other information are you trying to see? Are you trying to see like usage data? Just trying to learn your question there a little more.
And we do have a feature request page. And our goal is to, again, ideally designed for, co-managed states, but we'll be adding more and more functionality for Intune. And we're going to take feedback, very carefully into consideration when understanding what to prioritize. So we do have feature requests page on our website with a public facing roadmap for some of the themes that we're planning towards. Someone asked if Intune has the ability to sync with Power BI.
Yes. I personally haven't synced it with Power BI, but one of my coworkers, Garth Jones, has some information on that specifically. If I can, I know he has a article to it. Um, let's see.
I
Let
think it's on our
me
blog, right?
potentially let me find that really quick.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and close out the poll while you're looking for that, Fabian. That concludes the last part of this 3-part series. We will have the next series starting in February. So be on the lookout for that. If you have any specific requests for the types of content you'd like to see in these coffee break series, we're definitely open to that as well. So thank you all for joining. Fabian, we can follow up and shoot that blog over if we see it for
Yep,
Power BI.
I added it to the chat, so if anybody wanted to see that, it should be there.
Okay, great. Thank you all for joining. Have a great rest of the year.